So, you guys were in season 8 when you finally got your first Emmy nomination.
Long deserved Emmy nomination.
Well, then in season 9, it's like, okay, this is expected now,
Yeah.
so you're just kind of grandfathered in.
I'm sure, I joke, it's never expected.
Yeah.
It's always gratifying. And honestly, it, particularly when you look at the other shows who were in there, shows like Amazing Race or The Voice, it's flattering to be in there. And I think we never take it for granted. And it's always an honor, you know, hopefully, for the voters, it would be an honor to be nominated for a third year in a row. It'd be even better to win. But it's just amazing to have started on a show that began on G4, a network that no longer exists, and then somehow ends up on network TV and becomes one of the tentpole shows of the summer and then gets Emmy recognition. It's just, I'd love to say I saw it coming, but I didn't. And it's been really awesome to be a part of.
One thing we just talked to Akbar about, and I would love to get your thoughts on this, like when you're sitting there waiting for them to open the envelope and they read off all the nominees, and then what's that moment like right when they open the envelope?
You're like, American Ninja, no! No! And then you have to put on this face of, you know,
Right. So
we're
you're
so happy
actor.
for the voice. Yeah, it's bullshit. I'm sorry. It's honestly, it is, I would say it's an honor to be nominated. The greatest honor, though, is to have people keep tuning in. Because one of the things I've said is I've got an Emmy. I won an Emmy with Clean House, a daytime Emmy, or as Kathy Griffin calls them, a schmemmy. But I've got the hardware, and that was fantastic. That show's no longer on the air. As much as I would love to have another Emmy, what I will take is people continuing to tune into the show and for us to continue to stay on the air. So that's a loser's way of saying, of trying not to sound like sour grapes. It'd be amazing to win an Emmy. But in the meantime, as long as people keep tuning in, I think we can just be proud of the show that we're doing.
Well, you guys highlight winners on your show every single day.
Yeah.
The great appeal of this show, I think, is that it takes athletes who we make into icons, and it says, you know, here are ordinary people doing extraordinary things.
That's
Can you talk
exactly
a bit
it.
about that?
I think that's, you know, what's amazing is in the history of our show, we've technically had one winner. We're heading into season 10. And there have been thousands and thousands of runners on this show. So if you look at it just from the outside, you say this is a show that's about failure. Every single person, even the guys who won, have fallen. Every single person who's been on the course has fallen. And yet when you watch the show, you see more success than on any other show. Because we have stories like Daniela Bright, a woman who had stage 3 breast cancer, who I'm tweeting with back in season 6. And she said, my dream, she was bedridden, and she said, my dream, if I get out of this bed, because she didn't know if she was going to live, would be to someday compete on American Ninja Warrior. The very next year, she's on the course. She falls on the first obstacle. And some people would see that as a failure, but she already won the biggest victory in her life, beating cancer and getting on that course. And I think people identify with that. They identify with the fact of, rather than you know, like they say it, every single team other than the Super Bowl champions loses their last game. They're losers. They feel like they've lost. On American Ninja Warrior, just about everyone who comes on the course can feel like they've won in a different way, whether it's Stephen Mowell, who comes out representing autism. And by showing up, so many people have proven so much. We just had someone in Indianapolis who'd lost 75 pounds in 3 years and transformed themselves for their kids, just saying, I want to be around for my children. And to have his kids on the sideline seeing him and being like, I did this to be around for you. Like, that's the thing I think that people at home can identify with. Like, look, Akbar's 6'6", 260, he has a six-pack. That's who plays in the NFL. No matter how hard the three of us work, that's never going to be us. But when someone at home is sitting there and they see someone who transforms themselves, who makes themselves a better person, who's a better parent, who's a better teacher because of what they do, that I think is what the show is all about, is just these relatable things. The obstacles, what's more impressive than the obstacles they overcome on the course are the ones they overcome off the course. And I think that's why the show resonates with people. That and the incredible hosting. Was that good?
Sounds great.
Subtle.
As you travel around the country filming the show, is there one city or two cities that just has more of a passionate fan base?
Well, look, I'm biased. I'm from Denver, so anytime we shoot in Denver, my parents come out, my mom make cookies for the whole crew. She's like, 200 people? I'm like, yes. And then people were like, because you may know the situation of certain certain, I'm trying to phrase this tactfully, certain medications that are now legal in Colorado. And they're like, did your mom make Mile High cookies? I'm like, my mom is 78 from Nebraska. These are chocolate chip cookies. So Denver's very special for me. But the two cities I think that have really just had the most fanatical fan bases are Kansas City and Indianapolis. And to me, it's what this show represents is, again, we so often, those of us who spend time, I spent 8 years on the East Coast, 4 of them in New York. I've been in LA for 18 years, and you realize so much of this show appeals to just people in small towns. And it's the idea of, just similar to The Voice or America's Got Talent, the idea of you might have this skill, and in one moment, you can showcase it in front of the world. You can overcome these obstacles. And I think that's kind of what so many of the shows on NBC have done so well, is make it feel like it is the everyday person getting their chance to shine. And the idea of all of us deep down think, we have these secret dreams, these passions. I used to be a doctor, and I'm one of those people who gave it up and took a swing and moved out here, started doing stand-up comedy, and I'm living my dream. So I get it. And I get what it's like to be able to live that dream. So for people, when we travel to these towns and they get to actually see it in person, I think it makes it feel more real and closer, that this isn't something that just happens in New York, LA, Boston, or Chicago, or these places where they'll never go. This happens in Kansas City, in Cleveland, in Minneapolis. We come to you, and you can come out and you can watch it, and all of a sudden it's like, that could be me. That could be me next year.
Well, with the season that you guys have got going on right now, I'm curious, you mentioned some names before, but I mean, what were some other moments from this last season where you saw somebody do something that you never thought they'd be capable of?
Well, what's amazing to me is, as an athlete, the athletic performances impress me. Seeing, Jesse Graff get through stage 1, or Jessie Lebrecht be dominant. Last year it was Alyssa Beard, a 5th grade teacher who becomes just the 2nd woman to get through stage 1. And the physical performance impressed me. But as an athlete, I understand that. I understand the hard work that goes into it. It really is, the stories that impact me are the ones like Joe Hyden, a guy who had stage 4 pancreatic cancer, who again, he may not be around next season. And for him to get to run and do something to show his kids, no matter what, I'm not going to stop fighting. And to know that his kids are now going to have this thing of their dad going out there showing this courage, those are the runs I think that stand out for me far more. Because, again, as an athlete, I can understand, as someone who played sports, I can understand hard work, I can understand that. But even as someone who has faced health issues myself with rheumatoid arthritis, or I had cancer, but I was lucky that it was very treatable, and I'm considered cured. These people who battle substance abuse, battle the loss of a spouse, or battle the loss of a child, Sarah Poulin, who lost her 5-year-old son and who ran because she said, by running, I feel I keep his memory alive. When you hear that, those are the stories that touch me and that really stand out for me and are far more impressive. And I think that's what, I would love to say, again, I think we do a great job hosting, but our producers, we're storytellers. And I think one of the things we do that America's Got Talent and The Voice does really well too is, in 90 seconds or 2 minutes, they get you to care about these people, and they give you a reason to cheer for them. And that's what makes the difference, because otherwise it's 2 hours of people on a jungle gym. And our show gives you a reason to care about these people, and it is usually what they've done off the course that impresses me far more than what they do on the course.
Well, before we go, Matt, is there anything you can tease about the Red Nose Day special coming up later this month?
Oh, is this where we're supposed to say Akbar is just tackling the course and that he's fit? And let me just say, I will say he was having some breathing issues at the start of the course, and to alleviate them, he tore his shirt off. Now, it may have been to show off his 6-pack abs. I'm choosing to think it was the breathing issues. It was a ton of fun to have Neo and Derek Huff come out there. Obviously to have Akbar out there was fun, but more importantly, again, having been a doctor and realizing what we do is largely silly. We get to tell some amazing stories, but to get to be a part of something now, Red Nose Day has raised over $100 million in America. To get to be a part of it and to get to go see firsthand, to be a part of the Boys and Girls Clubs or some of these health clinics that travel around to needy areas and realize what we do in TV can make a difference. It's really nice, again, when it's such a self-centered profession, to remember we can do some good with it. So Red Nose Day is going to be amazing. I'm hoping Stephen Amell comes back out. We want to get The Rock out there at some point. Just know this. You won't see me back out there. Last time I broke my foot. I'm done.
Awesome. Thanks for chatting with us.
Thank you, guys.
so
Really
much.
appreciate it.